you know that the Equinox is Chevy's second best-selling vehicle behind the Silverado? Here today we have the 2018 Chevy Equinox. It's completely redesigned for this year. They actually shrunk the outside. It went on a diet, it lost some weight, but it has really good interior space still, and it fits perfectly in the compact crossover class. We're gonna look at the exterior, the interior, the cargo space, and then we're gonna go for a drive. Hey y'all, thank you so much for tuning in for the 2018 Chevy Equinox. Real quick before we get started, I want to say thank you to Britton Chevrolet here in Greenville, Texas. They were super generous to let me show you the Equinox. If you're ever in the DFW area, please be sure to check them out and tell them Nolan sent you. Right away when we start up front, you can see the total redesign compared to the previous generation. On this Premier model, we have LED headlights. Those are standard. LED daytime running lights are standard on all models. On the lower trims, you'll get halogen, then you get HID on the LT, and then we have LED here. We also do have fog lights down here on the Premier model as well. There are active aero grille shutters as well to help with fuel economy. And right there in the front, you can see the little camera. We do have a surround vision camera on this vehicle. What do you guys think of the new design? It's definitely a little leaner, sleeker compared to the last model. The last model almost looked a little bit bloated to me. These are 18-inch wheels. You'll get 17 standard on lower trims, but you can also option up to 19-inch wheels. See the chrome mirror cap right there with the turn signal on this Premier model. This is Nightfall Gray Metallic. You can see the sparkle in that paint. As we move around back on this Premier model, we do have LED tail lamps. And you can see the little blue symbol down there. This is the turbo diesel model, and I'll go through all the engine specs of this and the other two turbo engines. On lower trims, we will have a manual lift tailgate. On the LT trim, we have the power tailgate. And on this Premier model, we actually have the hands-free liftgate. Now that we're in the back, we do have a power programmable and hands-free tailgate, and you can program it with that button and close it with that button. Otherwise, you can open it and close it with your key fob or in front. All you have to do is wave your foot under the rear bumper. Now that we come into the back, we do have 63.5 cubic feet. And as you can see, I have that second row folded down, and it is really flat. The bottom seat cushion actually slides out of the way a little bit to give you a really flat load floor. In fact, one nice feature that we have are these pull tabs to lower down the seat. Nothing to it, so you don't have to go around front and do it the annoying way. In addition to that, we have this little tab right here. We lift this up. We have an extra cargo space right here. It's actually pretty deep and pretty large, and underneath of that is where you will find your spare tire. We do have a hook on each side as well as a tie down. Plus, we have an extra 12-volt power outlet right over by those handles. Now, the front seat of the Equinox is pretty comfortable to be. In this Premier model, we have the leather trimmed seats, and we have the optional ventilated seats. You can get heated seats standard on the LT model and up. Not to mention, this steering wheel has a really good range of motion, tilt and telescopically. Sitting upright at 5'9", I have a good amount of headspace, and the seat is about right in the middle, to where I still have a decent amount of thigh support as well. It is also optional to have this power capability with the 2-way lumbar, 8-way power total for the passengers as well. Before we get inside, I'll show you this door. We have nice soft door trim. You can even see the stitching right there down below. We do have memory seats right here on this model, as well as automatic windows right there. There's also a decent sized bottle holder right here that is actually pretty tall and wider than it looks. Plus, the compartment does go a little ways back. Not to mention, you see the Bose sticker right there. Paired with our screen, we have a 7-speaker, 2-subwoofer system. Now that we're inside, I'll show you the key fob. We do have a very nice soft key fob similar to the Traverse key fob that I reviewed earlier. We do have remote start and push button start. Push button start is standard on all models. Starting out with this screen right here in the middle, we do get quite a bit of information. It is a pretty good size information display. I've been idling here for just a bit, so don't pay any attention to those numbers. You can have your traditional trip information just like you'd expect. Plus, over here you can see all the information that we have that we can put on screen, and you can customize what you see. This is a leather wrap steering wheel. You do not get leather wrap steering wheels standard on the base models, but we do get it here. Plus, this one is also a heated steering wheel. We do have controls over here for our cruise control, plus our collision right there. This one is our lane departure alert setting right here. Over on the right, we have voice control, as well as the controls for our information display up there. And on the back of the steering wheel, we actually have our controls for the radio. What do you guys think of this layout? I think this dash looks pretty good, especially in this vehicle. I think it's much better than the previous generation Equinox. It definitely looks more modern, looks more sleek. You have a nice 8-inch touchscreen right there. Easy to use layout, definitely easy to get used to. Not to mention this steering wheel, this leather is very soft and very supple and comfortable to hang on to. As we move over a little further, I'll go over this touchscreen a little bit. As you can see, everything right here, we do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto standard on all models. You do start out with a 7-inch touchscreen on the lower models, but this is the 8-inch touchscreen paired with the optional Bose sound system, which sounds great, by the way. You can see all of that different information on here as well. You can customize what you see. It's easy to go back, even have tactile buttons with the home button, your seek buttons. I do wish this volume knob was a little bit bigger, but it's got a nice tactile click to it when you turn it. Of course, this has Bluetooth. You can have Sirius XM. You have your OnStar settings on there. You can pair your phone up with it and see things on here as well. Plus, you have the navigation right over here, which is optional. As we move down a little lower, we do have dual zone automatic climate control. Dual zone AC is not standard on lower trims, but it is optional and it's standard on this trim. You can pair up both left and right. Plus we have our ventilated seat button here for the driver, as well as our heated seats, and those are both 3-tier. Same goes for the passenger over there. I do like how easy it is to change through the settings here, and you can see that on the screen as well. Our push button start is right over here. As we go down a little lower, you'll see couple USB ports right there with a 12-volt power outlet. This is a wireless charging pad as well, and if you don't use it as a wireless charging pad, you can just use it as a place to store your phone. Here is the gear shifter for our 6-speed transmission. We do have an electronic parking brake right here. This is a nice, soft, pretty comfortable and good size shifter. Next to it we have a couple cup holders. Let's do the bottle test. As you know, my water bottle is fairly good size and it fits. It stands a little tall in there, but it fits just fine. We do have another cubby right back here. This is a very soft armrest as well, with some stitching right down the middle. It's actually wider than I expected in this class. Open it up and you see wheel locks right there, but we have 2 more USB ports as well. The Premier model does give you extra USB ports compared to others, which is nice to have. We also do have a nice bright light for dark situations. As we go up above, we do have a pretty large mirror with 2 vanity lights, and this whole visor does move back and forth. We have our OnStar controls, an automatic dimming rearview mirror. It would be nice to see the little flip reverse mirror camera that you have in the Traverse, but we do have the surround vision camera as well. Up above you see the OnStar controls. We have controls for our sunroof, which is a giant dual pane moonroof right there. In addition to that, we have the Garage Link system right here to program up to 3 garage doors, a pretty good sized sunglasses holder, and as we move over to the glove box, it is a damp opening glove box. It's actually pretty decent size for a vehicle like this, but it doesn't look like it locks, not that I know of. Let me know down below if you guys know. Visibility in the Equinox is about what you would expect for this class. We do have a little opening back there between the pillars, a medium size, fairly small rear window, but we do have a backup sonar, parking sensor, plus when we shift into reverse, not only do we have a backup camera, we have dynamic guidance lines, plus like I showed you in the front, we have a 360 surround vision camera. To give you an idea of how this looks in action, it will actually vibrate your seat depending on which side you have to worry about. If there's something real close on your right side, it'll vibrate that, and it'll show you the little flashing light, and you can have a really high definition camera right there. Now that I'm in the back seat, one of my first things that I really like is that this seat is actually at a good height to where I still have a little bit of thigh support. Sometimes you get in the back of some vehicles and you feel like your knees are in your chest and it's just not comfortable. Another thing with that is that since the seat's a little higher, I have a little bit less headroom. Now, if I sit upright at 5'9", my head is not touching the ceiling, but I can feel my hair touching it. Plus, we have this panoramic sunroof which eats into the headspace just a little bit. As you can see, I have a ton of legroom right here sitting behind myself. Plus, these seats actually recline, so that will give you a little bit more headspace as well. And on top of that, if you want to treat your passengers right or your kids right, you can get these outboard seats heated, optional. As an additional safety feature when we get into the back, see that little red tab? That just means the seat's not latched into its position, so you don't get going without latching your seat. Put it in place, good to go. As we move in back, you'll see a very nice soft armrest, very comfortable. Do have a bottle holder down below. Like I showed you earlier, I do have a really good amount of knee space right here. We also get vents in the back seat for the passenger. Plus, there's the heated seat controls. We also get 2 more USB ports, a 12-volt power outlet right there, plus a 3-prong outlet down below. We're also treated to a soft center folding armrest with a couple decent sized cup holders right there. If I were to move into the middle, as you can see, I still do have a little bit of space. My feet don't quite fit underneath of here, but I do have enough room for my knees in between that and the center console. And my head is not touching the ceiling, but my hair is briefly brushing it. One thing that I really like about these new Equinoxes is that you actually get 3 different powertrain options, ranging from a 1.5 liter turbo 4 to a 1.6 liter diesel that we have here, all the way up to a 2 liter turbo 4 cylinder. I'll put specs down for all the other engines down below, but I'm going to talk about the 1.6 liter turbo diesel right here. We can get 137 horsepower, 240 pound-feet of torque, and that's paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission. That will give you 28 miles per gallon in the city and 39 miles per gallon on the highway with the front-wheel drive model that we have down here. But if you do need to tow, you'll actually want to get the 2 liter turbo 4 cylinder that can give you up to 3,500 pounds. Otherwise, you're stuck with 1,500 pounds. Plus, if you want more speed, more power, definitely go with the turbo 4 2 liter. Also, if you want to step up your transmission choice, you can get the 2.0 liter turbo. That will give you a 9-speed transmission compared to the 6-speed with the 1.5 and the 1.6 liter. What do you say we go for a drive now and see how it drives? All right, so we are in the Equinox right now, going for our test drive. My first impression is, first of all, I've never driven an SUV that has a diesel engine, especially a diesel engine that's as small as this one. But really, if you're not familiar with it at all, you would never guess that this is a diesel engine just from the way it sounds and the way it drives. Let's give it a little bit of acceleration here. And being a diesel engine, it's definitely got a good amount of torque. I mean, it'll pick up and go pretty well. So I'm cruising along right at about 40 miles an hour right now, and this thing is pretty quiet. I know that this is acoustic glass, and there could be active noise cancellation in here as well, which definitely helps to quiet the cabin down. I have good visibility, and one thing I really like about these small crossovers is that I really like the layouts that we have. Everything is within reach. The armrest seems to be at a good height. My seat is comfortable. I really have no trouble in here being comfortable. I'm on a road that's a little bit kind of wavy, kind of up and down, and this soaks everything up pretty well. I haven't really hit any potholes or anything, but you know, the suspension is compliant. I would say that this suspension is probably about middle of the road. It's not going to be the most firm suspension, but it's not the softest, cushiest suspension, but that also aids to good handling. Now I'm on a little bit of a rougher road, and I'm going about 50, and it's definitely still pretty quiet in here. I know that you probably can't really hear much on my microphone. Plus, I just hit a pretty decent little bump in the road, and it soaked it up pretty well. It didn't really jar anything in here. You could certainly feel it, but it wasn't obtrusive. Going around a little bit of a turn here, this handling actually feels really good. I mean, it feels pretty on point. This steering wheel has probably the perfect amount of weight to it, honestly, for a crossover. It's not too heavy, it's not too light, it's not the kind that's real floaty that you can just toss the wheel around and it's not going to react. It's pretty comfortable, and it's got a good amount of weight to it. But it's not too heavy to where it's really going to make you work and make you put any effort into the steering. It goes right where you tell it to go. Let's give it some more acceleration. So I honestly don't know how well this compares to the 1.5 liter turbo. I would assume it's pretty similar. Obviously this is geared a little bit more towards miles per gallon with it being a diesel, but if you really want some acceleration, you have the option to upgrade for that 2 liter turbo. Going about 50 again, once again I say this is pretty darn quiet. There's obviously little obstructions in the road, little bumps and things, but nothing really jolts me in the cabin. Everything seems to be pretty comfortable. Overall, this would definitely be a good family vehicle. It would be a good vehicle for anybody that needs some extra space but doesn't need a third row. Compared to the previous generation Equinox, this thing is a big step up, honestly. The last generation was more Ford Edge size, but it was supposed to compete with other vehicles like the RAV4, the CR-V, the Ford Escape, the Nissan Rogue, things like that. And it was just kind of in its own little section. One thing I will say is that right when you take off from a stop, there's just a little bit of delay, a little bit of a lag, but you really can't complain about that much at all because it does pick up and get going once you need it to. If any of you have driven the 2-liter turbo or the 1.5-liter turbo, please let me know down below how it drives and what you think of its dynamics. But handling in this vehicle is great. It's pretty quiet, it's comfortable, it's a good family vehicle. As I come to a stop back here at Britton Chevrolet, I want to let you know some of the safety features and convenience features that we have. This vehicle has the Driver Convenience Package 1 and number 2. So with that, it's available. The number 1 is available on the LT model, but it's standard on this Premier. We get rear parking sonar, rear cross traffic alert, your blind spot information in the mirror, as well as a heated mirror with the turn signal inside of it. Now if we go with the package number 2, which is only available on the Premier, you get the low-speed automatic braking button on the steering wheel with collision alert. You also get your lane keeping assist to keep you in your lane, and it'll beep and let you know. You also have the surround vision camera that I showed you earlier, plus you have automatic high beams, and there's no radar cruise control, but there's a rear seat reminder, and there's teen driver technology, and both of those things are standard on all Equinoxes. So when you get out of the vehicle, depending on certain situations, it will remind you and tell you, hey, check the back seat. Also, the teen driver technology, you can see all the information on the screen, and there's a lot to talk about that. I'll put a little bit of information down below. That's going to wrap everything up. Let me know what you think down below. Thanks again to Britton Chevrolet, and I'll see you next week. Hey y'all, thank you so much for watching my video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do down below for new weekly videos every single week. Also hit me up on social media. Find the links down below in the description for Prime Autotainment. Once again, leave some comments down below, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next week.